What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to talk about a report surrounding Garrett Wilson. Report is maybe a stretch, but this theory revolving around Garrett Wilson and if he would want to be here or not with all this losing. The New York Jets lost again yesterday. They have lost 9 of their last 10 games. They have clinched their 9th straight losing season, and they have also clinched their 14-year playoff drought. 14 years, longest in all the major sports. Really just insane to think about. But anyway, Garrett Wilson, after the game, was asked about pretty much just how he was feeling, and we have a couple quotes. You have losing, period, sucks. When you're up in the fourth quarter, all of a sudden it starts to feel like we have a losing problem, like it's a gene or some shit. It's not like we're going out there and getting our butt beat from start to finish. No, we have a chance to win the game. We're supposed to win the game. Odds are in our favor, and we find a way to lose. It sounds like the losing is clearly taking a toll on these guys, and I feel horrible for Sauce Gardner, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all the Quinnen Williams, all these guys that have been here forever, and all they've seen is losing. I also feel bad for the Jets fans who've been here forever, myself included in that. I don't think any fan base deserves a 14-year playoff drought, but this is the cards that were dealt, unfortunately. And for Garrett, is there pause for re-upping to stay here? And Zach Rosenblatt, who covers the New York Jets for The Athletic, now this is his words, this isn't out of the mouth of Garrett Wilson, but I just wanted to share Zach Rosenblatt's perspective and talk through this idea that all this losing just is not good. Rosenblatt said, that's why no one should be shocked if Wilson, eligible to negotiate a contract extension for the first time this offseason, isn't eager to stick around the organization long-term, especially as everything continues to crumble around him. I don't particularly love that line of thinking, mostly because at least not publicly, Garrett Wilson hasn't ever gave anyone the impression that he doesn't want to be here. So maybe these people know things behind the scenes, which is totally fair and valid, right? That's why they're the reporters. But I think Garrett Wilson is the exact kind of guy that I want here for the long term. So in my opinion, the Jets need to get the next hire right at both GM and head coach and have a legitimate plan and bring some stability immediately to this franchise and change this culture of just losing and garbage. Because if you're losing Garrett Wilson because you just cannot get out of your own way, that is a horrible, horrible indictment on your franchise, a horrific indictment on your franchise. And again, like I said, Garrett, not for two reasons, is someone that I want to stick around. Number one, he's been incredibly productive on the field. He's 123 receiving yards away from making it 3 straight seasons with 1,000+ receiving yards to start his career. He is an awesome wide receiver in this league. And still, even with Aaron Rodgers, there's yards to be had left on the table for the 3rd year in a row with Garrett Wilson. He's got to be frustrated. It's frustrating watching the tape. This is another game, unfortunately, where if you go back and watch the tape after the fact, there's times where he's open and not getting looked at and not getting the ball. And it's got to be frustrating. With his leadership and mindset and, again, personality, that's the exact kind of guy that you want in your locker room. I don't want someone who is just okay with the fact of losing and like getting your paycheck and just kind of like going through the motions, so to speak. Garrett's not that guy. You see it on his face in the post games. He hates this. These guys are sick and tired of losing, and I feel like it's draining the excitement and love of the game out of some of these guys. The Garretts, the Breeces, the Sauces, the Quincy Williams. How many times this year have you seen that from these guys in their interviews after the game? It's just like, how did we get to this point again? And I really hope that Garrett Wilson stays. The Jets just have to figure out a way to get out of their own way. They really do. That's my biggest takeaway from this, or this theory or rumor, whatever you want to call it. They can't afford to lose Garrett Wilson. And Sure, I know that there's people who probably say, well, you could get a first round pick for Garrett Wilson or trade him for, a haul and this and that. And the lottery tickets are all fun and games, but you are hoping that you find someone who is as good as Garrett Wilson with said lottery ticket. Garrett Wilson's playing in his age 24 season. He's a young ascending player who has done everything asked of him and more since he has gotten here. That is the exact kind of player that you want to reward with the second contract. You got to make him want to stay. And sure, you could offer him a bunch of money. Again, I've drawn comparisons to, I think, the Jalen Waddle contract and the Devontae Smith contract in Philadelphia. Those are two, I would say, comparable players, comparable skill sets. And that should pay him somewhere around $28 to $30 million a year, more than likely. That's a lot of money. It is life-changing money. But situation matters, man. And they got to figure out a way to convince a player like Garrett Wilson and the rest of their young group that you want to be here. You got to give them a reason to stay. Sure, like I get it. Even if you sign Garrett Wilson, right, there's going to be a day where Garrett Wilson either retires or gets traded or released or whatever, and he's not a New York Jet anymore. And Jet fans are going to be here. Jet fans were here before him and after him and the whole thing. And I get it. Life goes on. If he's not here, again, life goes on. But it would be incredibly frustrating to me and really, honestly, disappointing. I think that's the word that I want to use, disappointing, if the Jets let their own ineptitude force Garrett Wilson out of here. I don't want to see that. I want the Jets to pay him after this year. I think he is the most deserving of a contract extension of all the guys that are coming up on a deal. I really do. And if I'm a GM, if I got hired for this GM job, that would be the first guy that I would go and try to pay and make it work. And I hope whoever, the 33rd team, the Johnson family, and everyone in between in this Jets organization make the right decision at the GM and head coach who can convince Garrett Wilson and the rest of these guys who are going to be here, at least for next year and maybe the year after, that they have a plan and it's worth sticking around for. They cannot afford to get this wrong. That's my take on it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.